Yes.
Oh, is it time? Is it? Oh, I'm not going to eat on camera.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the May Redmove Lunch. If I can have your attention. With that in mind, Sandy Masters is going to lead us in a prayer. If you'd all stand.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for the day. Thank you for this wonderful free country of ours. And help those in charge to have wisdom and guidance that will lead us in the right way under God as it should be. And thank you for all those that are gathered here today in this wonderful club. And help us all to have good guidance and wisdom as well. And watch over all of our troops. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Sandy. Now, if you continue standing, Matt Bueller, and by the way, Matt is running for Ward 2 for City of Reno, is going to lead us in the pledge. Matt?
Please join me in the pledge to our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Matt. Now, with that, something that we've started, and we're going to start over here. We're going to start over here. Is the shout outs. Just introduce yourself, where you're from. Come up to the mic. Otherwise, they can't hear you. Come up to the mic. If you're handicapped, you just want to show them how to use it.
My name is Frank Winkler, and I'm from Sparks. I got active in the campaign as a precinct captain for Trump, and now I'm just looking for the next steps. So, thank you.
Okay, Paul Larson, I've been in this town for 60 years, ever since they shot Kennedy the first Kennedy. And spent some years overseas defending the country at the frontiers of liberty. And spent about 30 years with the Saturday Night Eaters with Juanita Cox and all her people. They're almost all dead now, but we're carrying on. And God bless America and make it quick.
Thank you. Who's next?
Me. I'm Christopher Hassar. I want to thank Paul because we used to hang around together when we used to do the television show with Dennis Grover. Remember that? I did many shows with them regarding, I'm a physician and a dentist. We talked about mercury and the evils of Lyme disease and cancer and things, but I'm here because I'm a conservative Republican and I'm Ukrainian and we hate communists.
I'm Joni Hammond. I'm going to be brief because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for our speaker.
Okay, I'm Miss Wilder. I'm here.
Right here.
Oh, I do. Okay, good morning, everyone. Nice to be here. It's becoming every month, and we like to hear the speakers. My name is Liz Wilder. I am a resident of Reno, Nevada for 40 years now, and obviously a Republican. And what else? It's just me. Enough.
Jackie Hager. I've been here since 1972. Moved from California. Now I'm going back to California to see all my family soon. That's about. I'm definitely a Republican, and I'm definitely involved with a lot of what's going on, especially when we do have to get out there and meet your neighbors as a volunteer and update everything that's wrong with all of what we get as information. I give a lot of gratitude to Nicholas. Thank you.
By the way, she's the one that has the hats there that you can purchase.
Oh, yeah.
You forgot to do that. Al, you're next.
Yeah, Al Canyon Sparks.
Annette Rossi from Australia, and I'm visiting here for 3 months.
Hello, my name is Eric. Hello, my name is Eric. I just moved here like last week from Salt Lake City via Indiana, and I am a Republican, and I am a medical massage body worker. I work with horses and dogs and humans, doing correction and restoration. So I'm happy to be here, and blessed be.
I'm Sandy Masters, and I started the Mount Rose Republican Women's Club 18 years ago, and it's going well.
Hi, I'm Elaine Grimes. I belong to the Mount Rose Republican Women's Club, as well as most of the other women clubs and Central Committee, and I go to a lot of stuff. I like to stay in touch with what's going on, and I enjoy the people so much. We have so many talented, wonderful Republican people.
Go ahead, Steve.
Not sure which.
Well, is it on?
My name is Steve.
That's your
I'm President of Reno, and I've been a Republican probably forever. Here you go.
Hello, Nicholas St. John. I run the Washoe Patriots, the director of Alt Ones, a private health association, and I'm the developer of the We Do That campaign statistics software.
Hi, I'm Matt Bueller. As Ray said earlier, I'm running for the Reno City Council Ward 2.
Hi, my name is Caroline Smith. I'm the immediate past state president for the Nevada Federation of Republican Women. We had 19 clubs. I'm also very proud to say I was the first runner-up as the electoral college for this presidential election. I belong to Mount Rose Republican Women, where I'm a board member. I'm like Eileen, I belong to many of the central committees, state committee, different clubs, and I enjoy being a Republican and working hard for them. And that's probably about it. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
A couple just came in. Oh, Teddy, get up and introduce yourself.
Yes, and I'm Teddy Craig, Catfish Kickstart Program. I'm the whistleblower for the thing that was happening at the library, and I do a lot of in the community helping out when they get out of incarcerated. And Paul said hi to everybody. He's on vacation in California.
Bruce, introduce yourself and your wife. We don't care about you.
Of course not. She's the important one. Yeah, Bruce Foster here, and my wife, Sandy Foster. My wife is involved with Awaken as a mentor ever since its inception over a decade ago. And then pretty much involved with Karen England's protocol regarding challenging books within the school system. And another gentleman, Wes Elliott, and I are already submitted total of six book challenges, 3 at Mendive and 3 at Reed High School. And hopefully we can get some movement at getting the porn and sexually explicit books out of the school system. I know it's going to be a marathon. Thanks.
Thank you. I think there's some others that just coming in. Introduce yourself. I know you're just getting your sandwiches, but introduce yourselves and then finish. Pam, you didn't.
Hi, I'm Pam Dar, Precinct Captain, 6411, Office Volunteer and Event Coordinator. Nice to meet everybody.
Damn it, what's his name? Once they get their sandwiches, but we'll go ahead and proceed. Some of you ran out of flyers, but as you know, Redmove now is taking over First Friday. Tom Tabor and I started it 15 years ago, reactivated it. In June, the next First Friday, which is on June 6th, will be at Mimi's. It's really a fun time. We did the first one this year at Bullies and Sparks, and we had almost 50 people there. People had a good time. Horrible wind, but they did a great time. Nicholas was there. So the other announcement is we're moving our lunches to the same day as our First Friday. So lunch will be Friday the 6th. And we have Dr. Karen Gadney. She's a retired prison doctor, and she has quite a story. Brenda has heard her, and she said she is really good. That's June the 6th, first at noon, then you can come back at 6 o'clock at Mimi's. It's really a fun time. I think everybody, Matt, you got our Nicholas, everybody had a good time on Carolyn. With that in mind, I think we're even ahead of schedule. Introduce yourself.
Gives more time for questions.
Say,
Introduce yourself.
hi, I'm Joe McElhenney. I'm a precinct captain and central committee member.
And then he's wandering around here. The lady in red, Karen. Karen Conrad is our treasurer, keeps the place going. Karen, raise your hand so people know you. Karen.
We have a video that's on the website, so I can put this on it. It's just live stream.
Karen, raise your hand. She's the treasurer. And Bill Conrad, oh, here he is. Bill is the co-founder and president of Redmove, and he'll be starting the podcast interview with Brenda. And we're almost on time, but go ahead and start, Bill.
So I'll give you a little update too. It's been a crazy busy month, at least for me. My son was promoted to commander, and he was in at the World War II monument. A lot of folks there, and we got the person who's replacing him is an aide at the White House carrying the bags. So we got inside the White House, which was really neat to see. And the other big thing that happened, you might see me go to so many different directions, finishing up cinematography, is when I ran for Senate, Sam Brown was endorsed first by the Combat Veterans Association and Combat Veterans in Congress, and it's Barry Goldwater's PAC original. And then they looked at both of us and they endorsed me the second time and not Sam because of the conservative principles that followed Barry Goldwater. So anyway, out of the blue, the chairman, who's a Naval Academy grad of 15 years, and the board, I got selected to be the next chairman of the organization. So I wish I could have got more information out to everybody. We're having a gala in San Diego, and I'm not sure of everyone who's coming. I know there's Medal of Honor winners. There's also one of the president's cabinet will be there. It was supposed to be the vice president, but he couldn't make it. So it's a big time. I'm leaving on to go down there on Friday and then Saturday. And then On Mondays, the Central Committee meeting, right? I'm flying to DC on Monday. The same thing happened last Central Committee meeting, and they threw me off. I got back on, so I'll sign a little note again. So I've missed 4 events. So anyway. Oh, the White House. First of all, there's ways you can get on the tour. You got to go get congressman or senator. We had a very small tour. It was very nice. I mean, we saw everything. We didn't see the Oval Office, but it was, I mean, it's a fun thing to do, and it was great to be with my family. I got some nice shots with them privately in some of the places, which was nice. So it's just wonderful to see Washington. My wife got to see a little bit of the mall again. We're always so busy when we're back there. My son lives back there, and we're helping him rehab a house too. So, and he's moving down to Jacksonville. So good times. It's always nice to get back to Reno though. I haven't spent enough time here lately. Been a crazy year. So without further ado, let me introduce.
There's a couple people that really help. A couple of people that really help. Gary Butcher. Where's Janet? Is she still here? Yeah, she had to go back to work. That helped check in. The Butchers are a big help. And if the 2 people that just checked in, if they'd come to the mic and introduce themselves.
Anyway, we'd like everyone to just check in. That mic's good right there. You can turn it off when you're done.
Is it on? It is on. Okay. Hi, I'm Caroline Roberts, and my husband is Jerry Roberts, and his
Put it
service
closer to your
dog is
mouth.
Lincoln. How about now? Is that better?
That is better.
Okay. I'm Caroline Roberts. My husband is Jerry Roberts, and his service dog is Lincoln. I'm from Carson City, and I am a committee woman at the Carson City Republican office down there. So this is my first time to your meeting, and so I'm here to learn about you guys and all the interesting stuff that you guys know.
Oh, Carson City.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay,
She had
thanks.
mentioned it.
And then you.
So without further ado, tell me about yourself, a little bit about where you grew up, and were you originally from Nevada?
I'm not
So
originally.
put it a little closer.
Hi, I'm Brenda Sandquist, and I'm a Washingtonian from state of Washington. My
Oh.
dad was a Nevada, or not a Nevada, a Washington state patrolman. Grew up there and then had the opportunity to come down here and in 2000. So I've been here for 25 years. It's been a long time.
So you've seen a lot of change since 2000. What's the biggest change you've seen in northern Nevada? Or in the
Lot more
state?
building, right? There's more building. I changed, that's such a broad question. In what I do now, there's a lot of change, some good, some not so good. But as far as like just the overall Nevada, northern Nevada, I think more building, more people. It's
Yeah,
all
a
good.
lot more people. Have
Yeah.
you seen the political climate change over the years?
Yeah, I think the thing that was pleasantly surprising to me is that we turned a little more red, right? Red, is red the right? Is red the right one? I
Correct.
always
Red
get
is
the wrong-
correct. So when I was young,
Right.
it was blue, and now it's red. So they flip flopped at the establishment press. or the
Yeah,
deep-
so that's,
deep-
encouraging.
Yeah.
So, mhm.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice to see that. And unfortunately, I remember when I first got here and retired, it was the Senate and Assembly and the governor were all Republican. But unfortunately, somebody voted for a tax increase after we voted it down, and they were all voted out. And a lot of my Republican friends said, I'm not going to vote for Republicans. Now, I still vote for Republicans because that first vote counts. But anyway, so the next thing, living down in Carson, what made you come to Carson?
So it was a job-related move, and I was going through a divorce. So it was a good time for having a fresh start, a fresh change. And I actually was on staff at a church for 17 years, and then I mean, I don't know how much you want me to go into.
What
the next
what
steps.
church was it?
It was Capital Christian Center, and then it went to it had several. Right now, it's called Redemption Church.
Very good.
So
I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, and I'll turn it over to Ray, and you have your presentation. So when I'm in Carson City, where should I go to eat?
Well, it depends on if you're a meat eater or whatever. Red's $3.95. Grill is great. I like Eve's Eatery. It's really good farm to table type food. And then LA Bakery is great.
Shat's Bakery is great, but right across the street from my office is an Italian restaurant called Mangiatudo, and they have really good food. as
So
well.
where's your office?
310 North Stewart
Very
Street.
good. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Ray, and I thank you for coming today.
Of course.
And
Brenda?
by the way, Ray, at the end, if you would come here to ask questions, we like everybody to have about 30 minutes to ask questions. And I just want to make one last announcement. We're going to be doing these the rest of the year. Till next year goes into election cycle. But if you know any candidates that want to present and talk and learn to talk, and you can drill them, they're welcome to come here and do like a 10-minute hot seat for every event. We'll try to get some candidates in here because you learn to speak better. We have a better chance of those Republicans getting elected.
Brenda, tell us more about Exquisite, why you started it, some of the issues and some examples.
Well, I like to start with, because we often, I'm going to turn his off. It's like I get that question a lot. How did you get started? And so I think the facade of some of our communities is that out in the brothels, which are very close, it's great. Puppies, rainbows, everybody's there because they like to be there and they're safe. And so how I became aware was I was sitting in my hair salon one day and someone was as close as you are to me, and they had hair gone on the top of their head about the size of your fist, 4 different areas, bald to the roots. I mean, they're gone. No hair in those areas. And so the whispers around the salon was, what's going on? And I assumed that possibly it was some sort of a disease or some kind of illness. And I found out that that was actually from a buyer who purchased her out at one of our local brothels, and they ripped her hair out from the roots, 4 different areas. And they're putting extensions in to cover up those bald spots. And then as those were done, a brothel limousine came and took her back out to work at the brothel. And so that made me become aware. I'm a firm believer, especially from that moment on, that once you become aware of something that really stirs your heart, that you got to choose what you're going to do about it. I chose to not ignore that, and so began to just explore how I can help the women, especially starting in the brothel system. And it's expanded now into, we have our own nonprofit that we have downtown in Carson City, and probably that was in 2012. I went and got some training down in Los Angeles with a friend of mine who goes to strip clubs in Los Angeles, which was quite an eye-opener. And learned kind of what they did. And so for several years, we brought gifts out to the brothel women and just built relationships, no strings attached to those, just building a relationship and say, we care about you. And then Mr. Hoff decided that was not a great idea. I'm sure most of you are familiar with who that is. If not, he was the pimp that owned the ones out in Mound House. He's no longer on this earth, not something I'm disappointed in. And because a lot of violence happened out there. So that's just how I got started. And when that door closed, I said, I'm not going to quit. And so I just keep going and seeing if there's a need, and I try to fill it.
What are some of the current issues besides at the brothels with kids being trafficked? A lot of kids being young girls.
Right. So what I really, I asked the question, what's sex trafficking, to some legal professionals recently, and these were people who should be educated on some level of what we are doing. And they all said, oh, that's when you cross the border in Mexico and they throw people in a white van. And I was like, yeah, no, that is not what's happening here. So what I'd like to say here is, yes, we do have trafficking. And the sad thing about, so there's a trafficking ring of group of people that will come from Stockton over here to Reno, especially during events, Hot August nights, those kind of things, through Carson, maybe Douglas, down to Vegas or up to the lake. There's a circuit. What they do is, if they need to hide someone out for a while or just to have a place of safety, they will hide them in the brothels because it's legal there and you can't touch what they do. And so there's that that we've seen. But for us in Carson, and I know from Awaken, I know they do a lot with youth as well. We've seen a lot of kids. We have a really good relationship with our juvenile probation services team in Carson and also in Douglas. So they refer a lot of kids to us. And the tragedy of that is that they're in homes that are they don't have a good home life, let's just say. And so that just lets them be vulnerable. So the beautiful thing in some ways is that they get arrested. And so then we get to have a relationship with them and just try to instill, some kind of sense of normalcy and support. And the two things I think are intrinsic for most people that are in sexual exploitation is they feel abandoned or rejected. And so that is how, we kind of do it at that level. So the one statistic I think that will help you kind of understand the bigger trajectory of what youth and people are. I've worked with about 350 people in the last 10 years or so. 97% of the interviews that I had, 97%, okay, were first sexually exploited at age 3.
At age what?
3.
3.
3. So I would say that, and but it's true. And I again, it's like, oh, okay, now I know where to start. We were at Douglas High School, and one of the Douglas High School's kids said, "Wait, that's a toddler." I went, "Yeah, that's a toddler." So if you consider that most of the people, women, I have worked with several men now too, which those rip my heart because they're amazing young men. But if you start your life out with sexual exploitation at 3 years old, you're just vulnerable to be continually susceptible to people who will prey on you in those kind of situations. So that leads to, home lives that are not great, and it causes people to be susceptible to, I don't know how graphic you want to get, but,
No, you can be graphic.
I mean, if you don't have a home, you're going to do something possibly that will at least get you a roof over your head and some warm food, clothing. So we try to fill those needs as we can. And so, yeah, during COVID, I will say that we discovered kind of a tragic statistic that was everybody's locked down. So those people stuck at home were stuck at home. And there was a lot of people in a domestic violence. I actually call it intimate terrorism. Because it better describes what those women have to deal with. They can't get away. So in COVID time, yeah, they were stuck at home. I know of a couple of women who had their husbands traffic them during COVID, and they brought 10 to 12 men in at a time, one after the other. And you're in COVID, you can't even go anywhere, right? And so I have a personal relationship with 2 people that had that happen. Also, the women in the brothels decided that they were essential during that time, which is crazy. But so they would traffic and sell the women outside through the kitchen because they were closed. And there was a lot of things that happened in the local. I know one instance at Peppermill that they snuck in there, and really violent things that happened. And so violence is a part of sexual exploitation and trafficking. It is not a victimless crime, and it should be stopped. And the mentality of Nevada needs to say, we're done. We're not going to have that anymore. It's a slow burn, no deterrent.
How many would you estimate in an average month that you guys deal with?
Well, because on an average month, I would say, is that first timers or just continually
Well, you can break
helping?
it down first.
Right. I mean, we had 2 this week actually that came to us. So I would say on an average we have 20, but some we believe that you should not have to fit all the boxes, and if you get this, and this, you get services. We just say, what do you need? How can we help you? You know, what can we do for you? And then let them be a part of being able to navigate that, because traffickers and abusers tell them what to do, what to wear. I was made aware lately that they were told even what you can wear this color today and you can wear that shirt. And
Really?
I mean, so far beyond what we think. You know, if we wanted to come to today in our pajamas, we could, right? They don't have that option. They would have to wear exactly what they're told, and they follow them. A lot of, stalking is becoming a very big thing that law enforcement in particular, but also we are, it's a part of trafficking. They follow you, they track you, they have trackers on your phone or in your vehicle. And so they know every move you make, and they know just far enough to stay away, but to keep you in control. Also, just that psychological warfare of just constantly berating you. I asked this one woman about 3 weeks ago, I go, how many text messages are you getting a day? She goes, what? I go, your phone blows up all day. I said, I just want to know, how many are you getting? And she came back and she was like shocked. And she told me 550.
500. Wow.
In one day. I mean, that's like you can't, your phone's just blowing up all day, and it's like you're worthless. You will do this. Just berating them, and so that's what we see here in Northern Nevada a lot, is just that kind of mentality and breaking down of who you are as a person, and then being exploited.
Let me ask you, of the people that are doing this, how are you guys, it depends on the person, but how are you helping them? Give me some examples.
That's the hard part. Our flippant answers would be, why don't you just leave? Right? I came up with this scenario the other day, and I think it kind of can help. If we were driving down 580 and there was a car on fire and someone was inside and they burned to death, would you say to them, why didn't you just get out? Could they? Right? When you're stuck at home with your trafficker, or you're controlled by a trafficker or abuser, it's not as simple, just get out. What if they have your children? What if you don't have any way of supporting yourself? So I think society has been like, well, they should just do this, this, and this, and then they'll be free. It's not that easy. And I can tell you from walking with women for so long, it breaks my heart. And a TPO is nothing. Get a TPO. Have the
Say that again.
TPO, temporary restraining order.
Oh.
That's one of the things. However, that's the thing that law enforcement can use to start building their case. So it's a catch-22. Also, if you are victimized in, let's just throw out Douglas County, okay? If you're victimized in Douglas County, but you come to me in Carson City, where do you have to report your victimization? Douglas County. Are you going to do that if the Douglas County person is familiar with a lot of people in law enforcement or in town? They're not going to do that. So it's like you can't even report. That's one thing. If we could do anything to change the law, that would be a huge one, that you don't have to report in the county that you are victimized. But that's not happening now. And so that it causes so many barriers for people to be able to get out. So back to your question, what do? We love them where they're at. We give them the best support we can. I will never be another person that's going to put them down or reject them or abandon them. And that's hard. I mean, it's advocacy in that respect is really hard, because I want them. I want to, like the kids, I want to cocoon them and take them and, get them into a place of safety, but it's not that easy. And so it's a tragic thing that's happening. And I think that the atrocities that these women, kids, men are having to face, the violence, the thing, and then the person gets away with it. There are things, there's a good special place for those kind of people, which is, I believe, where Mr. Hoff is today. But it's hard. It's really hard, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to find different ways to try to at least bring some sort of help and some sort of support.
What's the typical, we'll have questions at the end. What's the typical person that controls them? I mean, Are they cartels? Are they husbands? Are they who?
So I do say this, survivors and traffickers are as diverse as everybody in society. They're garbage collectors, they're law enforcement. You guys up here recently had coaches that were trafficking. There's a
Had what?
coach, like a sports coach.
Oh, yeah.
There's a gynecologist. Here in this area, you can't go, oh, that's what they look like, because they are very good at hiding what they do and who they are. I will tell you this statistic. I went to a class, it was a year ago in May, and it was a class on a woman who interviewed people who were traffickers, who were they're in prison. And so they said, how do you get people? And it's the vulnerabilities. It's those things that they kind of, befriend and see. I can tap into that. Here's what, how many of you as a parent told your kids stranger danger? When you were little, right? Stranger danger. Watch out for the white van, the man with the puppy and the candy, right? So in this statistic, and this is, this woman has done a lot of getting stats on this, and she said 72% of people that are offenders and victim have victimized people. 72%. Close family member, extended family member like a uncle, aunt, whatever, close family friend. Okay, 72% are the people that are actually inflicting terror onto our kids and women, right? Then it goes down. The next group is 22% is a person in authority, also victimized. That could be your coaches, that could be clergy, that could be law enforcement, that could be any of those people that you should be able to trust. So you got 72 and 22. It came down to strangers was 0.05. So we've really focused wrong in the past on to telling kids, and even what those ladies told me, oh yeah, in Mexico, they come across the border and we throw them in a white van. That's what trafficking is. No, that's not what it looks like here. It is the people that could be your neighbor. I had a kid, I was in Douglas High School on Monday, and she goes, I had that happen down the road, 2 doors down. There was a guy bringing all these girls in and out. And she goes, finally someone, she was 10 at the time. She's like 14 now. She goes, finally someone turned him in, and he was actually trafficking young girls in and out of the home in Douglas County, 2 doors down from where she lives. And that's what it looks like here.
I wanted to ask you, I know you're probably more familiar with Carson City and Douglas. How would you estimate in a month there'd be a number in Washoe and Carson and Douglas? Try to break it down. How many are being abused? Average.
Well, again, let's go back to, I'll flip your question. If you can't really report because you don't want to turn in somebody that is in your same county. So I think it's way underreported because of the fear of retaliation, and we have to go back and live. We try to, Awaken does a great job up here, so we let them handle a lot of Washoe, but 4th Street's, rampant with women that, and young men that are, having to survive on the streets. That we work a lot too with the undercover Heat and Hero teams here. And so I know their recoveries have been quite a bit, but again, sometimes they have to go back. So it's hard to really quantify that. I would say if we did Washoe, Carson, Douglas, Story County, Lyon County, every month, I would say 25 is very low. I think it's probably closer to 50, but I don't have any way to quantify that for sure. But people are being victimized and harmed every day, which we should not be okay. And, it's not because we have legal prostitution, because that's just another avenue. But again, traffickers will hide their victims out in there. So, that's not, so that number that I just gave you is not including anybody that's being victimized out in the brothel system. So you got, it's significant. Again, Sex work is not work. Is not work. There's not a job that anybody would want to go to or even walk the streets and do to say, I'm going to be raped today and I'm okay with that. And I get $20, right? Nobody's okay with that. It's just a system of breaking down society, the people that we should care about. So I know that's not a really good answer for you because I think it's way underreported, way underreported.
I agree with you. I know here in Washoe, there's a lot of streetwalkers, tons of them, and they don't get half of them. And you're right. A lot of people are not reporting because they're afraid to be beaten up or killed or.
Well, another statistic that I think would be a better flip to say, how many are buying? We need to stop the buying. If you're a person that's out there buying somebody, that's a person. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's wife. That's somebody's mother, somebody's son. So stop buying. Stop watching porn. I have a really big old platform on that. Don't watch porn. That's not a victimless crime. People are behind that camera. And I watched something yesterday on that and just how destructive that can be. And when people watch porn, then they often want to recreate that. And that adds to the violence. So yes, I love the people that are the victims. I don't call them victims. I call them survivors because they places more value on them. But what if we could switch that and say, why are we not upset about people buying people? Thank you. And if you get rid of the buyer, you're going to get rid of the ability for the trafficker to make correct. So, sorry, I can get really passionate on that subject. Yeah. Yeah. By making relationships like today, so you know who to call. Awaken is here. I'm sure you have that information, but
You
yeah.
might explain it.
So Awaken is a similar organization that's up here in Reno that I've worked with Melissa and Jen since they began and I began. But so just becoming aware, doing these awareness things so people know us. The law, I got asked that question. Yes, was it yesterday? I don't even know what day it is. Yes, it was yesterday. And we talked about it's really important to have relationships. Because once you build relationships like this, the one yesterday, what was the one yesterday? Oh, it was the casinos, all the casino legal teams and security teams. And they go, oh, so we can call you? Yes. Going into the schools, doing that kind of stuff so that, people know who to call and when something should arise. So that's the best way. We have a website, we have a location. The website is exquisite.org, XQUISITE.org.
By the way, there's little pamphlets on the desk right there about Exquisite.
Yeah.
Grab those.
Once the buyer, you're aware of it, who it is, can they be prosecuted? Or is it the victims too afraid to testify against them?
Yeah. Both. It's both. Again, if you are controlled by a trafficker, let's just use the word trafficker, not even the abuser that's in your home, they own you. They own you, and you're not going to easily even be able to make a report. Now, I do know that the like the Heat and Hero teams now that do undercover, do good work up in here, and they regionally go down to Carson, Douglas. They are not arresting the survivor anymore. They're trying to sometimes, unless they do a crime. Obviously, there's that caveat that if they're doing a crime, they might get arrested. But just for the crime of prostitution type thing, they're not being arrested. They're trying to get the buyers to stop that. But if it's a trafficking situation, they've been controlled and told, don't say a word, do not talk. So it makes the survivor look like they don't know what they're talking about. And so often I know down in Vegas, they have the whole thing where don't talk, just get out. You're in there for a few hours and then you're back out on the track again. So it's a really hard thing to prosecute. Not impossible. The one thing I have heard lately, though, is that the law enforcement teams are trying to say that if you can add layers onto the arrest of the buyer, like stalking is a huge one. There's a direct line from stalking to homicide, and law enforcement are going, oh, so they're not discrediting. It's not just peeping toms. We're talking stalking. So it's layers of getting somebody to get a good arrest, and then you have to go before the judicial system, and that's a whole other ballgame. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Before we go to asking questions from the audience, one last thing. What's your view about legalized prostitution here?
I'm not for it. Just because it's legal does not mean it's safe. Now, are we going to be able to completely abolish it? No, because of the state of Nevada's mentality, because it's been a part of the wild, wild west for forever. So the equality model is what most people are kind of, trying to push that agenda, which is penalizing the buyer, not the person that's being sold, the prostituted person. Again, I'll tout the Cupcake Girls, which is a group down in Las Vegas sounds like a really nice little group making cupcakes. They are not. They're for sex work. They're funded by Pornhub, which is, if you don't know what Pornhub, it's the biggest, largest.
Say that again.
Pornhub. They're out of Canada. They are some of the biggest purveyors of very violent porn, and they are funding the Cupcake Girls. So that tells you a lot right there.
Do many of them get out of the trap of being involved, whether it be at a club or trying to get away from?
The word that you just said, they, is hard for me to hear just because they're people that I know and love. So if you can break it down and go, this is someone's daughter, right? This is someone's daughter, mother, and so it is hard. Sometimes I think if we can go it's out there and we don't have to deal with it as much. But when you make it personal, you change how you see people. And so again, it depends on, that's a broad question you just asked me, because it's like, if they're in a club, maybe after a while they can get out. Prostitution in the legal system, you're often have debt bondage, and it's hard to get out because of that. If you're being trafficked or abused in a home, you have to leave your home. You have to leave your family, maybe. So it's not a simple answer. I wish it was.
How do we rate with the other states as far as trafficking in Nevada?
I say first. They say we're second, but per capita, I
We're
believe
number
we're
one?
first. Mhm.
Whoa.
Wow. All right. With that in mind, we've had her on the hot seat. Now, each of you can ask a question. Please note a question. And she'll have a minute or so to answer. And if you're going to ask a question, if you're not handicapped, come up to the mic and you turn on the middle button there to make sure. With that in mind, we'll start over here and go around. Start asking questions.
Thank you. I well, he's still alive, but many years ago, he was Joe Conforti's bookkeeper. And so I got to
Who's?
Joe Conforti, Mustang Ranch.
Gotcha.
And I don't know how long ago this was. It could have been 40, 50 years ago. This guy's 94 right now. Anyway, he told me a bit about the business, and, and also through the news media, you learn that they've got bodyguards out there. They've got bouncers. So aren't they protecting the ladies? I guess if some guy gets, rowdy, let's say, or abusive, don't the bodyguards take care of that right away?
No, not really. I
Okay.
can tell you I'll tell you one scenario that happened. This is a personal story that I can tell you. This actually
Try to
happened.
speak up a little bit.
This actually happened at the Love Ranch, south or north up here. in Mound House. A girl was tiny. And so, I mean, again, if this is too much, you can close your ears. But when you go out there, you're in a lineup, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have a lineup and they're going to choose you. And then they're going to choose what they're going to do.
The service they want.
It's a menu, which is sad that they call it a menu. So this person went with this tiny little girl back, and she was down a hall. There's music playing all the time and everything. So she was down a hall, and he went beyond what he purchased.
Oh.
And he became very violent, and he was hurting her very badly, and she's screaming for help, and she kept trying to push the panic button. So why does every room have a panic button? There's a big, huge question right there. Right? Say no more, right? He kept pulling her away from that until finally someone heard her crying, and the madam came in and looked at her and said to the man, she looked at her, she's laying on the bed, she is bleeding at this point on the bed, and he turned and looked to the man and said, "I'm sorry that happened to you."
What? She said what?
"I'm sorry that happened to you. You can have another girl for free." And this is a personal person that I sat with the next day because she was going to kill herself the next day. She didn't, thank God. But so where was the bouncer then?
Yeah.
The bouncers are probably more out in the bar area.
Right.
And Mustang has a different, I've been in all of them up here. Mustang has a little bit bigger bar area, but you know, violence is a part of what they do out there. So how do you just say, oh, that's too much violence or that's not too much violence? But why do you have a bouncer? Why do you have a panic button?
Okay, thank you.
All right, next question. Who wants to ask?
Okay, have you ever read the Franklin cover-up, the book? Are you aware of that book?
No.
Write it down.
Okay.
Read that, because it explains, and my question is, it explains how trafficking victims are used to blackmail politicians. And we wonder why we elect somebody, we send them off to do what they promised, and then they flip on us.
Right.
And so since you have like Kit Kat Club and all that stuff in proximity to the Capitol, are you aware of any influence being exerted through the women at what's going on there in the legislature and such?
I've been over in the legislature quite a bit in the last few weeks. I know I'm not aware that there's an active, whatever you want to call it, solicitation there. When Mr. Hoff was alive, yes, absolutely. He did work on that. I do know that there's a few, and I could not name them because I don't want to know, and I don't believe they're current, but there were some buyers within the legislative system, mostly from the South, Clark County. But I'm fully aware that there can be cover-ups and entrapment, all that kind of stuff. I try not to go there just because I see the people, the prostituted people, the people that I work with, I love them. Now, I'm also not naive enough to think that that doesn't happen. And if it came down to that, I would be a part of saying that's not okay. I'm saying that in a nice way. I'm for justice on all sides. I know what happens. I'm not aware that it's happening currently right now. Probably a lot of it because our legislature right now has a lot more women than men, which could be good, I guess.
Next question.
I have two for you. Thank you for coming. This is very disconcerting, of course.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of females to males that have been abused? You know, you talk about females, but obviously there's a side we're not even seeing.
Yeah. I have been working with 3 men right now. I just was talking to one young man on Sunday, versus, like an average of, let's just say we did 350 women up all throughout this time I've been doing this. Maybe I would say 5. So that's a low percentage. Here's why I think it's low. Who wants to be a man and say that you're trafficked? There was a woman, or there was a man in Douglas County who was raped by a woman, and everybody goes, what? So they thought they were on a date. She took him out into the desert, tased him to paralysis where he passed out, She raped him and left him there. This happened in Douglas County. And he went in to report it, and all the law enforcement officers went, yeah, right. You were not raped. So why would a man Why would a man report? It's harder. It's really harder. I went and met a guy in the prison there in Carson, and he cried. He had a tear. He goes, I am sorry. I shouldn't cry, but this is what happened to me. And that rips my heart out when I see a man who's trying to be brave, but trying to also get justice, and he apologizes because he had a tear. Our society needs to be better about it's a victim. So percentage is low. I think it could be higher, mostly because they aren't reporting.
One more question. Was Hoff suicided?
Was Hoff suicided or murdered?
That's
Is
what
that
I
what
meant.
you're asking?
That's what I meant. You don't have to answer, but
well,
it was suspicious.
Yeah. I got a call within a half an hour of his death because I knew some of the women out there. What I do know, he had partied all weekend, really. It was his birthday weekend, and he was doing a lot of, there's no drugs, by the way, out in the brothel, but he was doing a lot of coke and all kinds of stuff and drinking heavily. He was also a diabetic, so that doesn't work good. He was found naked, and there was paraphernalia close by. So did he do it himself? Did someone do it?
Next question.
Thanks for coming. Several times you've said that your organization fills those needs. And so the survivors that you see, what do you actually do with them? I haven't heard you talk about that. I mean, what actually happens?
Well,
I mean, what needs do you fill?
Okay, so I think the better word would be, what do I do for them? Again, we sit and interview them. What do you need? Sometimes it's just that they need to talk. We refer them to housing if we can. Housing is at a huge deficit. And the other thing that's really harsh is if they're trying to get out of a place in a quick emergency kind of situation, there's no places for them. We do refer them down. There's a couple of really good programs that I like down in Las Vegas, Refuge for Women being one. So we can help get them to that, and there's provision for them to get airline stuff like that. We have support groups for youth and adults weekly. Matter of fact, it's today, right now, they're sitting around a table having a warm meal. We provide a warm meal for them, have sense of community, and then we do a support group with curriculum. We do the same with our kids. Personal care items, just kind of what we decide what they need but it's on their own terms. We don't force anything at all. It's what they want to receive and how we can help them. Gas cards are really huge. We've been seeing that sometimes women can't come to group because of gas. So we're buying lots of gas cards and saying, don't let that be a barrier. Come and be in community. So community, we provide community, and then as they're ready, resources.
Next question.
Yeah, all the people you worked with, could you give a percentage of those that broke away from that industry?
What do you mean by industry? You mean from the legal system?
No, that broke away from sex trafficking.
So I'm going to go with, for your first part would be from the legal system. I've walked with several people that, I mean, it's always good to hear a good story too, right? One woman who was very controlled by Dennis Hoff did get away. It took her years to really successfully feel like she didn't have that looking over her shoulder type thing. She's now a registered nurse in North Carolina. So she went through school and got all that. There's another couple that of women that have been able to leave and have their own families. Percentage wise, 25% probably, if I were just throwing out a number. Again, my other thing I always say is I always keep my hand out. There's a girl that I've worked with since 2013, and she just called me again recently, and because she needed some more help. So it takes 7 to 12 times before someone can actually successfully leave. And then that also has to be 7 to 12 times that are positive law enforcement. So if you have a negative law enforcement, you go backwards. So what if I go, I'm tired of helping you at 6, this comes on number 7, I go, we've done enough for you, which I never do, but I'm just saying, then what was that? What if that was the time, that she was going to make that decision? So again, advocacy is super hard you don't see the end results always really fast. But however, my big passion is I don't want to see them on a slab somewhere and have to identify them. So I'm going to keep loving them right where they're at and helping them as much as I can.
We need to hear from this side of the table. Go ahead.
So how good are the laws in prosecuting these people? And like, isn't that a form of like kidnapping?
Yes.
So like, can they be?
Again, it's that layers of getting that arrest. If you're talking purely traffickers are good about moving. They don't stay anywhere. They're moving all the time. So getting that good arrest, and that's why they're saying if we could get layers of things on their arrest, it helps a stiffer penalty for justice. And I mean, I can tell you this: we were working on a bill, and it didn't go through, but there are companies that will take buyers, their corporation, right, to Las Vegas, and they're going to have a great time in Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. They're going to go there. And if they get arrested, let's say June 1st, right? They get arrested, they might have you shouldn't do that kind of a penalty. You know that after 1 year, you can have that completely expunged from your record and it's not there. That's the way the law is right now. I know, I see your face. So what if you come and it's June 2nd, a year later? You're starting out fresh. So there's a lot of problematic things with our laws. And again, traffickers, buyers, I mean, they are trying to make them a little bit embarrassed in their arrest because, do you want your wife to know that you just bought something, somebody, so they're trying to use those kind of deterrents, but we have a lot of work still to do. And the more layers of that arrest, the heavier the penalty, the better it'll stick and hopefully maybe be a deterrent. Our laws need more help.
Yeah. Who's next? Question.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Teddy. Y'all know.
Teddy.
Mike. This one was on over here. Okay. I'm down on 4th Street in that area a lot.
Yeah.
For one, the answer to that lady's question, there is a place here for women. It's over off of Galletti. It used to be the mental health facility. I took them down there myself personally. It's a bunch of trafficking going on where they grab the homeless women and men. Right now, there's more men being trafficked than you could ever imagine. I don't know what the twinges is going on, but I mean, I caught a van coming out of the Lake Mill Lodge. And I followed that van as far as I could till this other car cut me off. And it had men and women in that van. It pulled in the Lake Mill Lodge, and you can hear the people sort of screaming to get in there. And I was like, what the heck's going on? So I followed that van until I got cut off. The easy end, the reason why it's up under new management is because it got caught for trafficking. There was women, they was hiding women and men in the rooms, and they would come in there and they would leave out with them. So it's a lot going on up here in Reno area. But as far as the safety for the women, it's the mental health facility off of Galletti. If y'all know of any woman, a man ain't allowed in there. You pull up on the property and they're gonna come out and wonder why you there. But if she wants to get any help, they got all type of resources. They got oodles and oodles and oodles of support. And when they complete their program, they put them in an apartment. They have an apartment, they have a funding where they just paid this lady's deposit and her first and last month rent.
What's the name of that?
It's just a women's safety shelter or something on Galletti.
Okay.
It used to be the mental health facility here in Reno.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like I said, I know some of the women there and some of the stuff, and they won't even let me on the property. And they know why I'm coming there. I come there and pull up and let a woman out the car. So that's the answer to her question about somewhere to go. And so how would your support be for the men that's also getting snatched? Because they need help as well. I mean,
Yeah.
some of them are totally lost, but a lot of them are on drugs, and they use that to bring them in, whether it's the man or the woman, they're using the drugs to
Well,
bring them in.
personally, if I was having to do that, I might have to be impaired too, because that would be really awful. What I would say though is, I respect you for following them and checking all that out. It's not really safe if it's a trafficking situation for the general public to engage, because they are not nice people, and you can put yourself in harm's way. I wouldn't want to mess with you because I think you would probably give them a run for their money. But for us,
Teddy does a lot of work with the homeless.
yeah, that's great. And I'm sure at the CARES campus, there's probably a lot of stuff that's happening there too. But I mean, there's so much work to be done, and there's so many places that, you know, we should all support one another. There's only so many resources out there. And so, you know, if I can't do some, I'm referring someone that can do a better job than I can. And so thank you for looking out for them. And it's I don't know what somebody asked a different question, but we got off on something else. So I'm not sure. Did I answer what you wanted me to answer?
So you mentioned that a lot of the trafficking is from family members and things like that. And so you mentioned a specific situation where a girl lived a couple houses down.
Mm-hmm.
So we all live in neighborhoods. What is it that we can look out for? Or what are the telltale signs that we should be aware of that we can look for in our neighborhoods to see if anything like that's happening? And then what do we do if we find it?
I love that question. I think that if something's off, you know, for her, she said this guy was bringing, they were like 13-year-olds in and out of the house, like several throughout the week. That should be a big red flag. As far as the people, the girls and young men, if their behavior changes, like we tell the kids at the high school, there's a kid that's been like the prom queen and going to all the football games, and all of a sudden they're not around. And all of a sudden they might have different really nice clothes, Jordan shoes, heavy makeup, things that change their normal routines. Those would be something, not always, but things to consider. I do have a flyer which I could send, but it's just signs and symptoms of different things that you can tell to look for. But what to do, the best thing is to contact law enforcement. You certainly don't want to put people in harm's way, so you have to have that make sure that it's truly happening, because what if, you know, it isn't, and then, you know, causes. But I'd rather be wrong than not do anything at all. So I think it's a change in behaviors in your neighborhood. It would be something's off. Why is that man or a family even there are women that traffic as well. Why are they bringing all these kids in and out all hours of the day? Something like that would be in a neighborhood, I think would be. But also, you know, if it's a family situation, they're very involved in making sure that you keep that secret, you keep it quiet. So it's hard. It's a hard one. Yeah.
Carolyn, go ahead.
So how does this horrible, nasty trafficker, how does he market or get buyers? What's their process? I mean, what do they do to get buyers?
There's a dark web where they sell them. They have their own ways of selling them. It's through online mostly. I think that's where it is mostly now. I mean, you can walk the streets off of 4th Street and you could be sold, and your trafficker or your pimp's gonna be close by. So they're gonna watch you. They're owned by them. They're branded often, and they're watching them. So
if it's online, why then cannot the legal system get involved?
because it's in the dark web and it's really hard to get to.
Yeah, but the,
Not impossible. And
Yeah.
so I will tell you that the undercover guys and gals, Heat and Hero teams here in Washoe County, they actually pose as buyers. They know how to do it. And they do stings. You've seen with the little pictures. They're not doing that so much anymore. I'm not sure why. I think because they were becoming too, they're trying to change a different tactic so that the people aren't getting what they're doing. But it's an enterprise that's very well organized, and you know, they make the most money. They make more money than football teams and all that all combined, like the NFL. We're talking big. It's big money. This is another thing that I've said lately too, is like you can sell a drug one time. You can sell a person over and over and over and over again. It's very lucrative business. And so, yeah.
With what I'm hearing out of all this, supply and demand, if we cut down with, I'm sure mainly men, not wanting to have sex, whether it be legal or not, it would eliminate a lot of the problems.
Correct. Yep.
With
Supply-
that in mind, I appreciate everybody coming. We're trying to wrap it up. She did a great job. You can stay afterwards. And if she has the time, don't forget there are hats here. The other thing is, the next meeting will be June the 6th here for lunch. That evening will be First Friday. And that's at Mimi's in June the 6th. We're going to do both things from now on. And then we're doing June 11th, because the 4th is First Friday. So we're going to do the 11th. Probably Matt Bueller will be Nicholas will be the speaker with a little input from Matt. With that, I want to thank everybody for coming. I think she did a great job. And there are flyers for Exquisite.
I might say too, we're actually in the process of right now, it'll be finished in 2 weeks. We're doing our own online advocacy academy so that you could be trained. We're going to have quite a good vetting process so that traffickers and abusers don't get the knowledge that we have, but it'll be 40 hours of content that will give you a lot of information. So that'll be rolling out soon.
If we want to contribute to one of these resources groups, who would we, who are they? Can you tell us some good?
Didn't you get the flyer?
Well, for us, we have our website and you can donate there, exquisite.org.
Bill just put it up.
Also donate to Awaken. Awaken does a lot of what we do. And I, off the top of my head, can't think of anybody else right now, but I can certainly, if you reach out to us, I can get you more. Yeah.
Again, thank you everybody for coming. We'll see you on June the 6th for First Friday in the evening. And we're going to have a great speaker, also happen to be from Carson, Dr. Getney.
let me go get the card for it.